Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Whereas earnings were a positive catalyst in the past, and we would look at and say, what's the next catalyst? And we would have earnings on the near horizon. And we would say, we know companies are going to knock the cover off the ball because we're coming out of the pandemic. Now, as you get further on, the comps are more difficult. Now you're challenged because of all the supply chain issues that Steve has been noting rightfully over and over. So, Bryn, what is the catalyst? What's a positive catalyst? I've got taper. I've got yields moving higher. I've got supply chain issues. I've got warnings rather than boasting about how great things are. Where's the good? What are we going to hang our hat on?
Well, first of all, I think that certain things will resolve themselves in D.C., one would think, over the next week or so. And so sometimes having headwinds just resolve themselves isn't a positive catalyst, but it takes some of the headline risk away. So that would be one. I do think, though, that to Steve's point and to your point, earnings coming out, we all know that these companies are going to have good top-line earnings. They'll probably have good margins. We have a lot of stock buybacks. Corporations are very healthy. But like with Micron, it's all about forward guidance. And I think that what's been so unsettling and surprising is, the Fed, and I think the consensus has been saying, the supply chains are transitory. Inflation is transitory, yet no one has yet defined what transitory means. And as these companies are coming out this quarter and saying, well, we don't think it's transitory. We think it's going to last. A year is not transitory, by the way. And so I think that there will definitely be some headwinds. I do think with companies, especially in tech, where longer term, I definitely see you're going to see multiple expansion. If you get some of these, high quality tech companies sell off because of 1 year, 6 month supply chain issues, I think it's going to be a wonderful time to step in this quarter if you do see some big sell-offs occur after earnings. But I would just remind investors of all the companies you own. You better know when those companies have earnings. I'm not a big fan of buying a stock the day before earnings. Wait till it comes out, because I think, Scott, this could give you some really good opportunity if the market continues to trade sideways or individual stocks continue to trade down.
Doc, you want to address the same issue of where the positive catalyst is that we're supposed to hang our hat on now? I didn't even mention the drama. Maybe a better word is dysfunction in D.C., because that's what it is. So we're dealing with that nonsense, which we think is going to eventually get worked out in terms of the debt ceiling. You've got the uncertainty of the president's agenda. That's a major issue to deal with. You've got all of the other things, the Fed, and what is, I think, one of the more uncertain earnings periods since the pandemic.
Yeah, and Scott, I loved Bryn's phrase there, politricks versus politics. The president, of course, was going to be here in Chicago today doing some fundraising and instead decided, I think rightfully so, to stay in D.C. and to try to have more meetings with the likes of Sinema and Manchin, which he had yesterday. I think that, believe it or not, because of the market being that forward-looking mechanism, Scott, that we could already be somewhat anticipating a resolution that you and Bryn just talked about to the debt ceiling. And if that feeds right into earnings, that's a 1-2 punch, Scott, to the upside. Because, in other words, we're anticipating right now that FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, generated by the debt ceiling, by Elizabeth Warren's comments yesterday about the Fed chairman and so forth. And that could, and I'd say it's probably 60-some-odd% chance that it does get resolved in the next 72 hours, give or take. And then that, like I say, that feeds in nicely if we do get more of a sell-off to giving people an opportunity to get in at better prices. Again, to Steve Weiss's point, getting in at better prices because they were patient, and then you're leading right into earnings after that, Scott.